Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger. I'm here with Kita, and he's. I'm holding him against his will. So, my wife and I just got back from the movie theater where we saw Roger Waters' "This Is Not a Drill." Now, attended this concert when he rolled through Chicago. July 26, 2023. This is not a drill at the Rosemont, at the United Center. Excuse me. The Rosemont Horizon was my first Roger Waters show in 1984. Now, I got to tell you, I am a huge Roger Waters fan. I do not think he's an anti-Semite. I think he is. He's a brilliant guy who has worked really hard to initiate a dialogue towards change. He feels a certain way about his political beliefs, and it's not everyone is going to agree. I don't agree with all of Roger Waters' politics, but what I will say for Roger is I'm proud to be a fan, because whether you agree with him or not, you got to hand it to the guy. He has worked really hard to stand up for what he believes in, to initiate a dialogue towards change, to try to attempt to get through to people, to consider opening up a dialogue and discussing things that a lot of people don't have the backbone to discuss. You know, like they say, we don't talk religion or politics at the table. So it's like, does this type of thing belong in your art, in your music? Well, for Pink Floyd, it's a double-edged sword in a sense, because not everyone in the band felt the same way as Roger, and I think that did have something a bit to do with how that band imploded. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things where you can alienate a lot of people, and the price that Roger paid for that was being accused of being an anti-Semite. Now, recently, there was a court that ruled in Germany in Roger's favor that he is not an anti-Semite. He, like I said, I saw the show, and then tonight we saw a live broadcast of it. I think the show was, and it's maybe the beginning of the run of the show. Like he had been touring this for like 2 weeks when I saw him. And now he said it was the 76th show. And there was considerable things that were different that I noted. There was different video. The set list wasn't the same, and there was things like, and I could be incorrect on this, Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 seemed like he cut a whole verse out of it. Like it was short. Also, this instrumental track off Dark Side of the Moon, which is called Any Color You Like, that seemed to be a little longer when I saw him, and that was cut. And I mean, it wasn't cut, it was shorter. And this is in order to give him a little bit more time to talk, because this is the one thing that really stands apart from previous Roger Waters tours, is he's gabbing, and there's text stories that he really reiterates. So it's much more of a personal thing. The tour is called "This Is Not a Drill," so he gets his point across. And for me, as a hyper fan, like, I love Roger Waters. I was in a private school where I was bullied, and my dad died. I was 15. So, and that was like at the same time that I was really absorbing the Wall album, and I had it. I had it for a few years. I had that album, but it didn't really get to me until that year, like I was 15 when my dad died. I was just Pink Floyd. That was it for me. Like Roger Waters was the first guy that I really admired, the first human being that I was like, this guy's the coolest, you know. So me going on here and making a fair, unbiased video, you know, I'm always going to be. And I got to tell you, after about 10 years of exclusively listening to that stuff, I was at the end of my rope. I was so hopeless because there really isn't a lot of hope in that music. But what I'll tell you is, if you didn't see the show, you should, and you didn't go to the concert, you missed the theater, you should check the DVD out. As far as Roger Waters shows, it's real, like the way that the set list goes and the way that it works. I thought that it really, the way that they ended it was excellent. And watching the movie tonight, like I was blown away at some of the stuff, like the delay effects on the vocals in the song "Sheep," and also the talky stuff. Him, just his personality. There's a lot of humor in it. It's a lot of him doing a phony German accent in the flesh. Again, I did notice that it's not the same show that I saw. There's a lot of changes in it. And they don't focus on the Ginormotron. The show is in the round, so there's a massive video display that's in the shape of a cross hanging over the band. It's a massive thing. And they really didn't focus on that very much. There was a lot of the more random text. Now, later on in the show where he's telling stories, that was all shown. But there was a real lot of the visual effects that were left out of it, simply so you could see close-ups of the musician. So as a companion piece, for me, the super loyal Roger Waters fan, I look at the guy, he can't do any wrong. But I don't agree with all of his politics. Seeing the tour and seeing the entire spectacle, what was I missing? Well, number one, it was kind of echoey in there, and it was tough to hear what he was saying in between songs. Here in this performance, no problem with that whatsoever. The audio was fantastic. And then seeing it from the nosebleeds and taking in the entire thing, and then watching the movie, you get everything that you missed from that perspective. So it's different if you paid attention, you know, because on the break, I went to the John. There's a 20-minute break. I went to the John and came back, and there was a couple of guys behind me that were talking, and I deduced from their conversation that the guy had seen the show in Chicago. So I said, "Excuse me, did you guys see Roger when he came to?" And yeah, and I said, "Have you noticed that it's different?" And the guy said, "No, it's the same." And I was like, well, for one, the whole ending of Sheep was completely different than what they had on the video trend. And he goes, "Oh, well, you're paying way more attention than I did."
Yeah, that's the point.
Paying more attention to what's on the 35-foot by 120-foot screen? Okay, yeah. I when people they'll like, you're like, that's like, no, you're a goof. that's the reality of it is you're clueless. And I'm unable to have even a brief conversation with you because of the level that you're on is, you know. So the way that the show worked, you know, the last tour was really, really good. Like the way that they did it. I think I preferred this one though. Coming back and watching this again, like the last tour had a little different feel to it. And I got to tell you, he did this song. I think it's the title track from the last album. Is This the Life We Really Want? With the ants. Man, was that was awesome. I really, really, really dug that. I don't think that was part of the show when I saw him here in Chicago. So that's my review. Generally, I don't want to go on for 15 minutes. I think I did a serviceable job for a quick wrap up. And again, being like kind of honest about it, like coming out and telling you, look at, if you're a Dave Gilmour guy and you hate Roger Waters and you're watching this so you can make some negative comment about how Roger Waters' voice isn't as good as Dave's, or Dave Gilmour was the real musician of Pink Floyd. I will say one of the things I noticed was his new song, The Bar. Well, the verse is Outside the Wall, and the chorus is, what's that song?
I don't remember. Did you say which song?
Dun, 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 but still the dark stain spreads between their shoulder blades. When the fight was over, expect what they had made. Well, anyway, and that motif, I think that motif is
throughout
recycled. Yeah. So this song, The Bar, he does it in two parts, and it's in the beginning, and then comes back to it at the end, and that was really cool how he did it. So paying more attention to the lyrics, being able to hear better than it was kind of echoey, and it was more difficult for me to understand a song I had never heard before. So that was another thing of like the clarity of it, and the performance was really good. Like everything about it, the band, the backup singers just looked fantastic.
Southampton Dock.
What's that?
Southampton Dock.
Southampton Dock. I got to tell you, like anytime I'm reviewing something from Roger Waters, Adrian Belew, Mike Patton, these type of people, it's like, what am I going to say besides this is like mind-blowingly good? Like I cannot tell you how great it was. The video, the live event, Prague. This Is Not a Drill, Roger Waters DVD is going to be coming out. Man, am I glad I went to the theater. It was a little bit not so loud, and then they cranked it, and it was like, yes, that's why I'm here. The only thing that I would say was was all old people.
There were some that could have been younger than us, but mostly.
And
yeah.
None of them clapped or responded. Like when you go to a rock simulcast, like the Led Zeppelin thing, Ahmet Ertegun's birthday or whatever it was, you should be able to like pretend you're at the concert and make a little noise. But this was like, felt like I got to clap, you know? They're like, let's have a clap. That's what he says. Let's all have a clap. enjoy yourselves, during Run Like Hell. So it's not really fair to you for me to review anything from Adrian Blue, Mike Patton, Roger Waters, and basically anybody I'm a rabid fan of. I'm going to come on and say how mind-blowingly great it was. But this really was. Like I'm telling you, I think the last tour was really, really good. Like that may have been one of the best concerts I ever saw. This one was better. It was better. And my brother, he went with his family, and that was their first Roger Waters show. From what I understand, they drank a bottle of Jack Daniels in the parking lot because I guess you have to get screwed up to go to a Pink Floyd thing. And he said they hated it. It was terrible. And the reason was there was no klaxons. They didn't have Battersea Power Station come down. Because he saw that on the YouTube video, and that's why they bought the tickets. No klaxons. Battersea didn't come down and scare the shit out of him. And he said it was a fraction. It was a fraction of the other show that he saw on YouTube. And he couldn't understand them because it was too echoey. And that bothered me so much today when I was watching it. I was like, he could not have done a better job on it. Like we bought tickets for this thing in 2020, okay? And then COVID happened, so he had all this time to work on it, on this show, in the round. And it was such an excellent Roger Waters experience. I have not missed any of his tours. I've been to all of Roger Waters' tours. And I got to tell you, there is a huge element that's missing from the Dave Gilmour stuff. When Dave Gilmour does Pink Floyd or does his solo tours, there's this whole thing, this giant thing that's missing that can't be replaced, and that's Roger Waters. That's the heart and the soul. That's the guy. So when you go to see Roger Waters, you're getting that real Pink Floyd experience. Gilmour isn't there, but believe me, when you've got Dave Kilminster and Jonathan Wilson playing guitars, you don't miss Gilmour. The solos are they're better soloing than Gilmour's live soloing. Absolutely better. I mean, it's not Gilmour, so it doesn't have that familiar thing, but man, does Dave Kilminster do an unbelievably good job of mimicking Gilmour live. Unbelievable. It's like note for note, but better. And there is a lot of room for improvisation, especially on the keyboards. John Caron is like utility man, and man, did he do some really amazing stuff on the keyboards. And he did some the pedals, the lap steel type stuff, steel guitar. And the bass player was playing a red Mustang bass. And man, I'll tell you what, I want a Mustang bass. But the sax player, my wife said he earned his pay. The set list is like, it couldn't have been a better set list. The way that he put it together, right out of the bat, comfortably numb and brick to get him out of the way, so Waters could do his thing and tell his story. And it was just, it's really classy and it's really put together as a show really well. The way that it ends is phenomenal. He gets to make his points in there. And now that he won this case and the German court said he's not an anti-Semite, it was absolutely awesome hearing him going off about that, So this is a real high watermark. See what I did there? Definitely check out This Is Not a Drill. I'm going to let you guys go. I could talk about this for another hour, but I got stuff to do tonight and tacos to eat. This is one you're going to want to have for your collection. And if he comes back around, you gotta go. You gotta go. He's not going to be doing this much longer. I think he's going to come around one or two more times, maybe. You know. But this may be it. He's calling it a farewell tour. So what you're going to see, like I'm telling you, I've seen all of his shows, and what you're seeing at this point, it can't get any better. He's got it down, and it is a little bit. You know, that's the thing about Pink Floyd. It's like when you really absorb it, it's not that complicated. It's actually really basic stuff. It's really basic. It's kind of trite. It's kind of corny, Pink Floyd. It really is. Like, people act like, oh, it's all layered and mystical and really hard to figure out. It's not at all. It's really kind of corny. And there's that sense of humor that you don't really pick up on it at first because he's British. But the way that he presents this material and the fact that he's chatting, he's talking in between the songs, like telling stories and stuff, you know. So you would be a fool to pass this one up. Get the DVD for your collection, and if he comes back around, don't miss Roger Waters. He is firing. I mean, for his age, and for all the accusations of lip syncing, did you notice how they had all these close-up shots on him so you could see, hey, he's really singing all of this. There's no playing of tracks. It's all live. And the band is smoking. So I could not recommend this any higher. Mind you, yeah, I always got to put that caveat in there that I'm a ridiculously loyal Roger Waters fan. And to anyone who's on the other side of that coin and you hate Roger Waters and you love David Gilmour, the only way I could compensate for that is that you're wrong, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to let you go. I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Hug your pets. That's really important. And peace.